Imagine a coastline where the Sahara Desert, vast and silent, finally meets the sea. A place where the incredible ruins of Roman empires lie half buried in the sand, and where, deep beneath that sand, lies a treasure that could build a modern paradise. This is Libya, a nation whose entire story has been shaped by two powerful, competing forces: its ancient, epic history and its black gold.
But you know, that beautiful surface hides a story of incredible turmoil. Libya is sitting on top of the largest oil reserves in all of Africa, a resource that absolutely should have guaranteed its people a safe, prosperous future. Instead, the nation is just fractured. It's caught in this seemingly endless cycle of conflict. It's a staggering paradox, right? And it begs the ultimate question: how on earth did a country blessed with such unbelievable wealth completely fall apart?
Well, the answer to that starts with the reality on the ground today. To really get a handle on Libya, you first have to understand that it's a nation divided against itself, a deep, persistent fracture that paralyzes its politics and its people.
At the very heart of the crisis is this split government. Libya effectively has two rival groups claiming to be in charge. Over in the west, in the capital, Tripoli, you've got the UN-recognized Government of National Unity, the GNU. But then in the east, you have a totally different power center, the Government of National Stability, or GNS, which is backed by their own House of Representatives. And this isn't just some political disagreement, it's like a parallel state, creating this constant grinding struggle for control.
And this isn't some abstract political game. This is the daily reality for 7.3 million Libyans. Their lives, their futures, they're all hanging in the balance, caught between these two competing claims to their nation's soul.
But here's the thing, this division isn't really new. To understand where it all comes from, we've got to rewind the clock. Because the story of modern Libya was forged in the 20th century, and it all pivots on one single moment. The moment everything changed. The discovery of black gold.
It's hard to even imagine now, but when Libya gained its independence back in 1951, it was one of the poorest nations on the entire planet. Seriously, its main exports were things like animal hides and ostrich feathers. With one of the lowest per capita incomes in the world, its future looked, well, pretty bleak.
And then, in the span of less than 2 decades, boom, everything changed. First, you have independence in '51, then the real game changer in 1959, the discovery of massive oil reserves. And finally, in 1969, a military coup that brought a charismatic and very young colonel to power, Muammar Gaddafi. These 3 moments, right here, would define Libya for the next 50 years.
The economic shift was just seismic. Almost overnight, that oil money transformed Libya from one of the world's most impoverished nations into an incredibly wealthy state. The entire economic foundation of the country was rewritten, and all this newfound wealth would very soon be controlled by just one man. So yeah, all this incredible new wealth was now in the hands of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. And his 42-year rule? Well, it would become a masterclass in contradictions. A time of incredible ambition, truly bizarre ideology, and just brutal repression.
See, Gaddafi didn't just rule, he tried to reinvent the state itself. He created what he called the Jamahiriya, which means state of the masses. It was this unique political theory, all laid out in his infamous Green Book, that promised a kind of direct democracy. But in reality, all the power stayed firmly and ruthlessly in his hands.
And that contradiction really defines his whole time in power. It's what people call the Gaddafi paradox. On one hand, he poured that oil money into these monumental projects, like the Great Man-Made River, and he actually pushed for some social reforms. But on the other hand, he was an international outcast, funding terrorism, getting slammed with sanctions for the Lockerbie bombing, and using his feared revolutionary committees to crush any tiny hint of dissent at home.
For 42 years, this strange and repressive state somehow held together. But in 2011, as the fires of the Arab Spring swept across the entire region, the breaking point finally came for Libya. The revolution that followed, it would change the nation forever. The regime's fall was stunningly swift and incredibly brutal. It all started in February with protests in Benghazi that just exploded into a full-scale civil war. By March, international forces were getting involved from the sky. By August, rebels stormed the capital, Tripoli. And just 2 months after that, in October, Gaddafi himself was captured and killed. After 42 years, the colonel's state was gone. The cost of that revolution was just immense. The civil war is estimated to have claimed more than 30,000 lives.
A bloody end to a bloody regime, for sure. But the violence was far from over.
And this right here is the question that still haunts Libya today. The dictator was gone, sure, but he left behind this enormous power vacuum. The institutions of the state were hollowed out, and the country was flooded with weapons. So what would rush in to fill that empty space? The answer, it turned out, was chaos.
To truly get why Libya fractured so easily, we actually have to look even deeper than Gaddafi. We have to look into the very geography and history of the land itself, because the cracks, they were always there.
Here's the truth. A unified Libya is a pretty modern invention. The nation as we know it was basically forged by Italian colonizers from three really distinct historical regions: Tripolitania in the west, Cyrenaica in the east, and the massive Fezzan Desert in the south. Each one had its own identity, its own history, its own culture. And these ancient fault lines, which had been suppressed for decades, have now just cracked wide open in the current conflict.
And yet, beneath all the conflict lies a land of incredible shared heritage. I mean, sites like Leptis Magna are among the most spectacular Roman ruins anywhere in the world, a powerful reminder that before all the divisions, this land was a vital and prosperous crossroads of empires.
There are even modern symbols of that potential unity. The Great Man-Made River, a colossal engineering project from the Gaddafi era, still provides 70% of all of Libya's fresh water. It's a shared lifeline, physically connecting these separate regions and proving that a unified effort is, in fact, possible.
And so, that brings us back to the present. Can a nation forged from ancient, separate lands, a nation blessed by so much wealth but cursed by so much division, finally find a path to a unified future? For Libya, that remains the great unanswered question, written in the shifting desert sands and in the black gold that lies just beneath.